Hi, welcome to my retirement channel. This is where you'll get to see how I'm dealing with my upcoming retirement. You'll get to watch me as I bang my head and struggle with this transition and inevitably make a lot of mistakes. But I think it's really going to be about a lot more than that. As I'm trying to redefine myself. Okay, I have to tell you, my retirement videos and blogs are not going to be like a lot of other videos and blogs you might be following. I'm not going to be giving any kind of financial advice, and I won't be telling you at what age you should start drawing your Social Security, and I'm not going to be giving you any grand investment strategies. I may from time to time share some of my own financial experiences, but that will probably be examples of what not to do. My intent is just to share my struggles and discoveries while dealing with this major transition in my life. We're all different, and my experiences could be quite different from yours, but there are probably some of you who might be able to relate to my experiences and with a little luck, learn from my mistakes. So, how might my career influence my transition into retirement? And how might your career influence your transition into retirement? Well, I don't have a family, so it would be hard for me to relate to anyone whose sense of purpose has been centered on their family. I think it might be easier for them in some way. Their family will still be there, and their retirement might actually allow them to immerse themselves more fully into that sense of purpose. Maybe they're even looking forward to retirement and eager to make this transition. But for me, on the other hand, my work has pretty much defined who I am. For me, the various stages of my career have given me a very strong sense of purpose, and the idea of leaving this behind is a little bit frightening. My career has been what has defined me, and me deciding to end that career almost seems kind of like suicide. So, exactly how can I live through retirement? How can I survive retirement? How can I maintain my identity and a sense of purpose as I leave the workforce? Well, to help you fully grasp my dilemma, let me give you some idea of exactly where I'm coming from. I've been very lucky throughout my career. I've never really had any grand long-range plans. When I was graduating from high school, I just knew I was interested in art. Actually, I think I was mostly enjoying thinking about art. I was obsessed with trying to define exactly what art was. This proved to be pretty elusive, but I knew that if I were ever able to wrap my hand around it, I would be able to tell a lot of other people exactly how wrong they were. Those of you who are artists might understand what I'm saying. The rest of you, this would probably be a topic for another video. But my point is, I just had this poorly founded idea I should major in art. I had no thoughts of exactly how that would lead to any kind of employment. It's just what I wanted to do at the time, and preparation for a career had nothing to do with it. By the way, all the part-time jobs I had as I worked my way through college didn't really seem like jobs. They were all part of the college art school learning experience. You know, how to make ends meet, and it was all part of the learning experience of the artist lifestyle. Day-to-day survival was one of the things that made it so exciting and not really a problem when you're young and resourceful. I did no planning. I simply reacted to what was around me. And what was around me at the time was a lot of people like me making a lot of really good art. It was actually very exciting. Unfortunately, my friends and I were really the only ones who knew how exciting all this was. But from time to time, some of us would find a space we could turn into a temporary gallery to show our work. Now, it was usually just us and maybe some friends and possibly some family who would attend these events. But occasionally, a local critic would take a look at what we were doing and write a supportive review in one of the local papers. That's when some of us began talking about creating something a little bit more permanent. And in fact, some of my friends even had these grand ideas about not just creating an exhibition space, but also working studios for us once we graduated. That all sounded grand, but it seemed unlikely to me. Now, one of the part-time jobs I had at that time was delivering the mail. This helped pay my tuition and living expenses. And I was out on my route one day, and I was delivering in essentially what was the Skid Row of Indianapolis at the time. But I saw a for lease sign in a storefront, and as I looked at it, I just got thinking, and I thought, this just might somehow be something that we could generate enough cash flow for to maybe make something happen. And that's when I founded a not-for-profit exhibition space called 431 Gallery. And this was also essentially the birth of my career as an arts administrator. And I would go on working at various arts organizations really for the next 15 years. Now, there's a lot of stories I could share about my career as an arts administrator, but to keep this video short, let me just say I worked with a lot of really amazing artists, and I made some really good friends along the way. Now, my transition into education was kind of gradual. It began when I took a position as Director of Visual Arts at an arts center. Part of my job in this position involved working with public schools in the service areas of Indiana and Ohio. And then I was eventually promoted to the Director of Education. I remained with that organization for a little over 4 years. After that, I was Executive Director of a very similar organization, but that only lasted for a couple of years before I needed to relocate to Dallas for what I thought was just going to be a short time. I didn't really think I would be in Dallas long. So my plan was to just get a job teaching for a couple of years and then get back to my career as an arts administrator. So that was my plan. One of the few times I actually looked far enough ahead to say I even had a plan. But the thing is, I don't seem to be very good at planning. None of the plans I've ever made really seem to work out. Other things like that sense of purpose always seem to get in the way of my plans. I never aspired to be a teacher. That was never my plan, and I wasn't actually very good at it. Probably because it wasn't my plan to teach for more than a couple of years. But here again, there are lots of stories I could tell you about my experience as an educator, but the bottom line is, I found a sense of purpose in the classroom. I started off a really bad teacher, but each year as I began building my identity as an educator, I also got a little bit better. Not quite good, but at least a little better. And that's one of the things that makes retiring kind of hard. I'm still not a very good teacher, but I know that if I taught for one more year, I just might get a little bit better. So, how could I retire? I mean, if I worked another year, I think I would possibly be a better teacher. Maybe even a good one, who knows? But then I started to ask myself if I could somehow add one more year to my life, would I be a better person? I don't know. But I do know that teaching another year would be one less year that I would have for whatever turns out to be the rest of my life. There have always been these other things that I've wanted to do, and I'm finally realizing the time I have to do them is limited. Yeah, I'm leaving something on the table as I retire from education, and I don't really have a solid plan in place beyond these three goals. But I know I'm going to be setting another table, and it seems fate has always trumped anything I've ever tried to plan. So hit the like button and subscribe to follow me if you want to follow me as I stumble along through this transition into retirement. And also, please feel free to leave some comments down below.